Integrating the environment into 10th through 12th grade history social science. This video is made possible by the California Department of Education as part of the California Regional Environmental Education Community Project, which provides professional learning and resources to help educators and school administrators successfully promote environmental education and environmental literacy. The video is developed in partnership with the Sacramento and San Joaquin County Offices of Education. Welcome to this brief overview of environmental literacy in grades 10 through 12 and its connections to California's history social science standards and framework. I'm Charlie Gilmore from the Sacramento County Office of Education, and it's my pleasure to share some ideas that will help you gain a better understanding of how environmental literacy is represented in California's HSS framework. In addition, we will address some considerations regarding integrating instruction on the environment into your history social science curriculum. The 2016 History Social Science Framework asks teachers to integrate California's environmental principles and concepts into their history social science instruction at each grade level. Knowing that one of the most valuable commodities in a classroom is time, SCOE has developed a resource designed to aid teachers in this endeavor. So, how do we integrate instruction about the environment into our history social science lesson? The first step is identifying the points in your grade level standards where it's most relevant and appropriate. The Environmental Literacy Compendium pairs the language of the framework with suggestions for instruction that connect the standards-based content to one or more of California's environmental principles and concepts, also known as the EP&Cs. The EP&Cs exist across the curriculum and provide a natural place to pair instruction in multiple subjects. In addition, where appropriate, the compendium makes connections to the next generation science standards. In the 4 primary high school courses, we've identified 13 points in the standards where the EP&Cs can be naturally integrated. World and United States history have 4 integration points each, while government has 2 and economics 3. Let's examine one page within the compendium to get a sense of how it works. On one side is the relevant language from the framework. In this 11th grade example, we have an excerpt from Chapter 16. On the other side is a section titled Environmental Literacy Integration. There, you'll find a compelling question designed to engage student curiosity, a short introduction to the concepts of the suggested lesson, and step-by-step instructions for classroom implementation. Beneath the lesson instructions, you'll notice which of California's environmental principles and concepts are addressed in the lesson and possible connections to NGSS. So, how can we implement a lesson in the classroom? Let's take an example from 11th grade U.S. history. In 11th grade, students analyzed the effects and controversies that arose from the New Deal. The framework suggests students study the economic rationale and political debate that occurred. The compendium builds on the framework by providing a suggestion on how to use one significant New Deal program, the Tennessee Valley Authority, or TVA, as a case study to do both what the framework suggests and integrate the EP&Cs. You can start by posing to your students the compelling question, is the Tennessee Valley Authority good policy? The TVA was signed into law in 1933 and aimed to modernize one of the nation's most underdeveloped regions. Projects like the Douglas Dam employed thousands of workers, like the carpenters shown here, and were designed to generate electricity and control flooding. The TVA also manufactured fertilizer that included phosphate and lime, increasing food production. The TVA continues to have a significant impact on the Tennessee River Valley. This lesson asks students to evaluate that impact, particularly weighing the costs and benefits to the local environment. Borrowing the structured academic controversy protocol from the Stanford History Education Group, your students will use primary and secondary sources to answer the compelling question. Start by placing students into groups of 4. Within each group, divide your students into pairs and assign each pair one side of the compelling question. With their partners, have your students use sources you provide to pull evidence supporting their assigned position. The compendium recommends possible sources to use for this activity, such as photographs from the TVA's early years, maps of the TVA's current projects, and historical critiques from politicians, such as Senator Barry Goldwater. You can curate your own selection of sources as long as multiple perspectives are provided for your students. Once your students have selected evidence from the sources, they reconvene as a group of 4. Each side presents their evidence. At this point, students simply listen and note the evidence being presented. Only after all evidence has been presented are students allowed to abandon their assigned position and make a case for the claim they believe is the strongest. The goal is not for one side to win the argument, but for the group to come to a consensus. As a final product, have your students write an argumentative paragraph citing evidence from the sources to support their group's consensus response to the compelling question. Through this lesson, your students will gain a deeper understanding of a key New Deal program, hone their disciplinary literacy, and evaluate how decisions are made regarding natural resources and systems, one of California's EP&Cs. We hope this video has provided a helpful overview of environmental literacy in social science and has given you some tangible ideas about how to infuse it into your curriculum. Thank you to the California Department of Education and the California Regional Environmental Education Community Project for funding this video, and to the Stanford History Education Group for the use of their Structured Academic Controversy Protocol. Technical production of this video is performed by the Sacramento County Office of Education's Internet and Media Services Department.